Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Advertising. This session, Chapter 12 or Lesson 12, we'll be talking about print, electronic, and digital media production. Now, for most of us, this will be kind of boring because it's going into the technical aspect of printing or digital as a web designer, just to give you a general overview. But I want you to approach this chapter. If you're not the computer geek or you're not the computer or the technical, going through the technical side like a web designer or a graphic designer, or so you already know the terminology and the vocabulary which is acceptable within that culture, within that work group, for lack of better words. So, as being an outsider, being as an agent, advertising agent, or a manager or something that's going to be communicating with an advertising agency, you should be able to understand their vocabulary. When I was in the corporate world, I was in a system that was looking at executive information system, basically working with programmers. I was not a programmer. My whole aspect was to look at it from the process perspective, and then have the programmers. I want this to happen. Press that and do that, and certain things will materialize. By certain coding that they have to do. They're going to talk a little bit about this, or certain designing, or certain applications, or bringing certain color into it, or putting certain buttons, or the mechanical aspect of the advertising campaign. So, saying all that, what am I basically leading on to is you don't have to be that computer or that web designer, but you have to be able to communicate to them so they will communicate back to you instead of having them explain it. So, like you're learning here about your customers, what works, what doesn't work. You ask, you learn, you absorb, and you proceed. And now you start using the vocabulary, just like I'm trying to make you do when you're writing your advertising action plan for me as your final project. You will be utilizing the vocabulary. Whether you're taking me for this class or another class, another instructor, if you're doing any paper, you have to take the conceptual and the vocabulary that you've learned in that chapter or in that course and able to apply it in real life situations. What happens now when I'm talking to the web designer or I'm talking to the director, I'm talking in his or her language, so it makes it easier for us to communicate. Stating all that, I'm going to go fairly quickly on this. The book and the reading material that you have does an excellent job. You're taking me an online class, you're taking me a face-to-face class, and this is a supplement for my online class. This is my lecture part, and the other thing is the in-class interaction is when you're discussing with me within our discussion groups or slash forums, whatever you want to call them. I call them discussion groups, I call them forums. It's irrelevant. We're talking and we're communicating, exchanging ideas. And as you will find here, social media is one of the sites that you could also utilize. So I'm going to go real quickly. Some of your learning objectives, and I'm going to bring this up to 200 amps or 200 view, which is large enough. Remember, you could always make this a little bigger at your own home computer. Okay, discuss the challenges of managing production process. Explain the stages of print production, and we're going to go more on the technical side. So we're going to breeze over that. For those of you who are, this is your expertise, you are on the technical side, look at that as a refresher, and you could add on to it within our forum. Describe key events in commercial production. Remember, commercial production is very expensive. You're just being introduced to some of the different aspects, some of the the roles, the cuts, the shoots, some of the terminology that if you are going to be doing an advertising that's going to be utilizing a TV commercial, and don't take that, even in a small business, don't take that out of your realm. Because remember, the TVs, the radio stations don't turn off at 2 in the morning. If that happens to be your target audience, you could get in there pretty darn cheap and get a good TV advertising. You might not have all the bells and whistles. Hi, I'm George. I'm here in the morning. I'm seeing you can't wake up. So here we have it. And you'll get it at a very low cost, because at least it's almost like if you're going for a matinee. They don't get many people in there during that day, but at least it offsets for some of the electricity or some of the cleanup while the people are there. So it's some money coming in. Right? You're already open, so you have one person doing 20 things. At least you get some cash coming in. Okay? All right, so now manager's role. You're going to come into the planning role, organ, the directing role, and production time chart. Real quickly, allocation, and the other one here is supervising staff and suppliers. So when I'm looking at my time line, let me look at, I'm going to do my manager role. Average, conceptual design planning. I'm looking at 50 to 20%. 40% is production, actually making things happen, looking at on-site. You're going to find out from the reading, or you did find out from reading material. It's more realistic, but you don't know what's going to happen when you're on site. So you're looking at the different times. Editing time required, 10% here. Redefining final output, 10%, and the review process is 10. So it depends on the different average project. You have your high and your low, and you have to be flexible enough because some projects you're going to use more editing. Other projects if you're doing it on stage in a control environment, very little editing. If the actors everything work well. If you're doing it on site, who the heck knows what's going to happen? You got somebody back when here. Now how do I get him or her out of there? Because I don't want to redo the shoot. Okay. So we have that managing production cost. Like it or not, the cost is the biggest thing. And that's what planning. If I do over budget, and you got to be careful with your contractors or your subcontractors. They'll come in at a low budget to get the job, or your actor, and then they nickel dime you on little things. Oh, you don't want that? That wasn't part of the contract. Oh, you don't want that part of the contract. So that's where they get you an overrun. You take too many takes because director has to be precise. You got to be just the right scene. Hey, it's close enough. He's just going to slap him around, or he's going to buy something. Let's move on. That's not the focus. Oh, everything got to be perfect. So over budget. So you got to rein that cost in. Okay, print production, engraver, prepress, graphic services, paper costs, size of the print run. So anything you have to do outside, you may be limited depending if you're on site or if you're using your own distributors or vendors that your suppliers that you already utilized in the past. Hopefully that is, electronic production, radio, least expensive, television, very expensive. You could realize that, but it's not expensive. But then you have to look at it. When you look at direct satellite, I can't. You look at Comcast. You look at some of the other ones which could be very small to the local market. They can adjust that pretty good. I mean, costs are coming down, and a lot of this you could record yourself, like now with the camera, good camera, and you feel comfortable in front of the thing, on the web or virtual viral, YouTube, or turn that around and turn into, if you get a good editor or someone else that could turn it around and make it a good production as a TV or a real quick ad. Add it in some of the other stuff. Okay, print process. Rough, comprehensive posts, always before and then after, and then you got to send it to the press. Make sure everything works. Nothing happened. There was no delay. Who's picking up? Reproduction. Again, typographic. The artist selecting the right type. What kind of font do you want? What are you trying to do? It's all part of the image. Appropriateness, appearance, harmony that goes in with everything else. I'm looking at the elegance, it'll be more of the curvy. If I'm looking at a bold, it's really basic. The color, the different things, the speed, the quality. The faster I get it out of print, the paper made there. I'm a Marshall Field, or I'm a J.C. Penney trying to be a Marshall Field. Do I want that higher quality? Basic choice. Is it for quality? I'm looking economy, or you basically have to choose between the two. Speed. You give up if you want it fast, then you're going to suffer an economy. If you do it faster, you may have to pay more. So you have to select which one and try to find a balance between them. But remember, always utilize my concept maps. They are very handy, and you can add on to it. The more senses you utilize, the better you remember. And the same thing I practice, what I preach, when you're doing your advertising. You have to bombard them. Not really bombard them, because it's not annoying, but a different trigger points. I also teach a course called Consumer Behavior, and that how you understand and uncover, research how the consumer's thinking, where they're at, how they're buying, and how do I manipulate or enhance or help them make the decision process and cognitive discipline, and make the decision to buy my product and then support that they made the right product. Okay, creating visual. Photos, illustration. Stock or original. You buy it off the web, or do you have your own? What kind of adjustment you have to do? A layout, the mandatory. Preparing. Basic art. Overlay. Printer must photograph each layer. to make it happen. Camera ready art in halftones, line art. By using black and white in art is what it's called. And and I throw that in because, like I said, I can't have to throw it in. You may see it on the exam. And halftones by converting gray images to form. Line art is what it's called. Okay. So we're covering this pretty quickly in this chapter. Remember, there's a lot more detail, and there's a lot of sites we want to do. Prepress, again, you're looking at, film negatives, the plates, do what color combinations to make color combination. If you look at someone who's a painter, and I'm just trying to bring so you conceptually, those who don't understand, how could a painter, you look, why can't match it? He will put a little gray, he knows what colors will change the color. He knows what's going to look at the screen. He knows if I look at it here, it's going to be more of a darker red that he's looking at. Even though I say it's too pink, it's too, doesn't look like blood, it will when it comes out on there. Or if it doesn't look like the person happy, it will when we put the makeup or the tone editing after. Don't worry, just go the way you are. Alright, and this is basically where it's coming in. Looking at here's the color, different. And if you look at it, your printer, each one of these is $99 a piece. So the thing, if you have to make the combination on a print, and you're actually doing 1,000 or 1,000,000 copies or something, who do I send it up to? What does the message I want? If it's in a newspaper, have it colored, fine. Black and white, throw a little color, catches your attention. You don't do it after a while because then they get numb to it. Okay. And then which color, when you do it international, is not offensive to the culture you're trying to reach. Okay, duplication, distribution, real quickly, you got to run it, drying, cutting, bending, shipping, all the logistic portion. And then there's jobs in that. I'm not going to say there isn't, PowerPoint, if I'm looking at this. When I finally send it to there, let's look at the PowerPoint. Make sure misspelling, the producer doesn't going to do. When I had to do my dissertation, send it in. Any errors, if you wrote it, we're not correcting. We're not an editor. We write it the way you want it. We don't know if you did it on purpose. That's what you want. That's called mismeasured line, image size doesn't fit in, misplaced crop lines, it comes in there, bad line, and page break, very important. You don't want to have it too much, but you don't want to have too much of a gap, because it's part of the cost, but it doesn't make sense when I have it missing or wrong punctuation. Some people pick it up, some don't. Remember, depends who your editors are. Proofreading, so we have everything on there. Okay, now the other one is radio and commercial. I think I just go with the chart. It's got 3 phases. So how do I go? In the first phase, I'm bidding. I choose the production company. And this is what you may be doing if you're the agency, or even if you're your own manager, and you're bringing somebody else in an agency, and you want to do, you're like the general contractor. So you subcontract that to reduce the cost, or you want to have more of a control. Pre-production meeting, casting, who do you want? And it could be your own employees, which is always good. It gives it more of a credible. It gives it more of that believable, and these are the individuals that are actually working, producing basic elements. Unless the person looks real shady, you want them in there. Find somebody else, put a sub in. Editing, sound mixture, approval, audio taping. So that's the production phase. Pre-production, get everything ready. Production phase is, if you notice, is the largest. And then the post-production, make sure everything's approved, and then you send it out. Okay, and this is all this does, and we should be okay on that. Okay, I just turned these off, so we're all right. I got another PowerPoint here. Okay, now radio commercial production is similar. Remember, it's the first step that you're going to do. What you're going to do in a radio commercial. Now you got the voice. Now you're going to put the actors in on the TV. So it follows it. Again, assign the producer, select the studio, select the directors, and on-site, determine the talent, who I'm going to need in my own individual. Some are more talentable. Some are more what do I call it? Photogenic. You know what I mean? They just got that face, more believable, more bubbly, or more serious. Whatever you remember, it depends what the type of message what you're trying to do. Depends on your product. Depends on the brand. All this I'm bringing in. You see the chapters we're doing. It's repeating itself, but it keeps on. So it keeps on remembering. You look at it. I have to look at the total picture. I'm looking at the visual aspect. I look at the words. Now I finally get into the print. How do I do this? I may contract out, but when they're talking, they're charging me. Well, what does this consist of? Or what do I do? Because I'm talking their language, they're going to say I can't really take advantage of him or her because they know the process. They have no clue. You're as clueless as can be, but you know the right vocabulary and the right concepts, and know. Over time you'll have a good feeling of it. You could be self-taught. Okay. Now to assign the producer or determine the talent, music, your production, sound, and the master tape. Okay. So we're all done with that. Turn that off. TV commercial production. Again, it goes through the same thing. the camera, and they talked a little bit out here in the camera. I just throw that in, so it's I don't want to say, hey, there's no technical. You should do 16 millimeter, diagonal measurement, one frame. After a while, you know the terminology. You know what they have to do. It's not as easy. So when they edit in one frame, so when you look at it, you don't even notice like a blink of an eye, because somebody who could. If they edit certain music, somebody else could pick it up. Another equipment could pick it up. Majority of your audience would not pick it up. All right. 35 millimeter, 75 millimeter films, mounted teleprompter. Teleprompter just tells them what to do, so they know. You don't see it back there. They just see the words and you kind of move around and you go, hey, yo, make sure you do this. Some of the words you can put in don't have to be exact, but pretty good. And a lot of your talent, your actors, they already pick up on that. In location, when I look at location, if you're looking at it, if you're doing on site, it gives you realism, but you got the strange people, you can't control the environment, terrain, it's a nightmare, and then the right actors. Okay, so you have everything else. Now when I look at this post page, what do I have in here? So I'm looking at the ad. Remember, this is all the technical. You have it done. You have everything done. The ad is done. Just like I do this recording. I got to record it. Sometimes I edit. Sometimes I don't. I just either stop it, move it along. I'm fine. What you see is what you would see in the classroom. This is what you would have. All right. So post-production. I have a film editor. These are all good jobs. Sound mixer. I love the music. I'm a director. I'm an editing. I know how to do it. But to the other software we talked about and the print. Okay. And then you've got the shoot, so we turn this off, and then that's the advertising for the web. You got the viral, involved a digital video with some message, and you have YouTube. I record this, and also record at different schools. So I'm looking at this one here, and here's what I did: media career opportunities. I could be a production manager. I like to get things together. I could be a director. I know how to do the words. I know how to work with people's personalities. Look at their extremities and find that common thing. I'm an interactive planner. I'm a system designer. I'm a computer programmer, but I want more of the creative, not just doing numbers for IRS, not the person with IRS, but something more creative. Multimedia producer. I'm an engineer. I need to do that because of the mechanicals, how to get things set up. I'm a writer. I'm a journalist. I can't get a job in news, but I can do things in advertising. It's interesting. I come up with jingles, ideas. I'm a copywriter. I'm a creative director. These are all jobs out of here. Okay, now producing a web, on here. So it's, you learn it. Same thing when I'm talking about this class. The terminology, the logistic, learn it, plan it, try to use it, one word or two words, try to design it into your speech. Code, you may not know code, but you could take a course. There's a lot of courses you can learn code within. There's one place I went to some seminar. You see, they'll practice to teach you to learn code within 3 months or 2 months. And you're a good code thing. But you watch other people, you communicate to see how they do it. You launch it, you maintain it, and you learn from your mistakes. Okay, here's some web links. Let's try some of these links in here. Making a radio commercial. Let's look at that one. Alright, this may be interesting.
Alright, who has the first part? Anybody? Ronnie. Alright, we're going to do Ronnie part first and then stop.
Alright, now I'm recording this live.
It's everybody.
Okay, let's do us. Immeasurable. Okay, just like that. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Us. Immeasurable.
Again.
Us. Immeasurable.
1, 2, you go.
Us. Immeasurable. Us. Immeasurable.
Alright, looks pretty good. Let's move this along to see how it does it. You watch the link.
Oh, okay.
Look how long it said. This is only like a 2 minute.
Us. Immeasurable. For Our Lady of the Gospel dinner and show. On November the 25th at 4 p.m.
With special guest, Tolu.
That's right. We'll be sharing that day with Tolu and D. This show will be off the chain. So get your tickets early. That's November the 25th. That's
Okay. Alright, so we got that one. So that wasn't too bad. You got different best of the radio commercial, bad. Let's look at this one. Best radio.
Welcome to bestradioads.com, home of the best radio commercial production and strategic planning of targeted and effective radio campaigns. We're so sure that you're going to love your radio commercial production that we of our work.
Years ago, he made a deal.
of zombies. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that outrunning them is key. If you're going to outrun a horde of brain-hungry undead walkers, you really should do it in a 2014 Kia Optima.
Before there were game
Okay.
prices of the spring. Friday, 5 p.m. to close.
Just some commercial.
Dusky gray
Okay.
and pale green is a color called moss, one of the colors between the colors, created by Canon Laser Color.
Let us help you create a compelling and
I'm
effective
trying to
radio
find out how to-
commercial and campaign for your business. Call us now
Hang
or
on.
fill out the contact form on this page.
I can't care. Here it is. Okay, I got that turned off. Where are we at? Okay, we're still live. We're doing good. Let's try another one. Paris ad. Let's see if this one. Toyota. It's only 1 minute. Only a minute. So let's look at the ad. Remember, this is a commercial TV ad. We looked at the cost for TV ads. Expensive. I might have went through it real quickly, but if I look at an ad, it was like $500,000 to $300,000. So it's not cheap if you're looking at prime time. So you have to do all the cuts. You have to do several things. You have to edit it. You have to look at this.
To have an impact on the environment is to have as little impact as possible. The best way for a car company to have an impact on the environment is to have as little impact as possible.
Okay, so which one is this? Informational, environmental, okay? Third generation hybrid, so it gives you a little bit more, gives you some more information. It just keeps on going. Now look at this ad. This ad here is just third things, going a little bit more.
Riverview Ford's all about saving you money. Upgrade your vehicle and lower your payment. Yes, you can at Riverview Ford. Click below and let us know how much you want to save.
So what do you think? Throwing an ad in there?
This is a
Right after
discussion, comparison, and demonstration of the differences between.
They don't show the individual, they're just showing this. Okay, I'm going to close this. Okay, let's close that. Alright, so we good? Okay, let me close that. Let me see another link here, a commercial link. Let's see what we have in this one. This one's 3 minutes. I'm just showing this. This is what I would show in the classroom. I'm going a little bit slower. La France. They're making this in Spain.
We're shooting the new Gwen Stefani Lamb fragrance campaign with Gwen and her whole team in Ibiza, Spain. With somebody like Gwen, she's got.
Hey, that's 3 minutes, but I'm gonna let it go. I'll let her run through it here.
She knows who she is. She knows what she likes. So it made my job really easy. It's really about bringing to life her world. So it's Gwen, all her energy and all her cool and all her style. It's very much about an atmosphere, a vibe, a sensibility, a sense of fun and life and energy. I think there's sort of a stylized glamour that we're going for in both the print images as well as the TV campaign. A lot of the inspiration for Gwen's fragrance for us came from the packaging. There's a bright turquoise lining. And so it was immediately this thought of swimming pools and pool culture and water. And so we were looking for a place that, that had beautiful vistas and beautiful swimming pools.
This was interesting because it was so abstract. The energy, just being here in Ibiza and everybody coming out, everybody seems so up and so into it and so inspired.
We're very lucky to have Sophie Mueller directing the TV commercial because she's done so many of Gwen's music videos. I think there was immediately that comfort and that trust and that connection, so we could really get into the story. And
You remember when you're looking at actors and you're looking at directors, they have to connect. So it's
the biggest challenge has been
just
so
a
much
challenge.
water. We tried to find the warmest pool we could possibly find, and even with that, I think Gwen's been shivering, but she's been a real pro in this sport. I think you've done a great job.
But I really enjoyed the process. One of the funnest things I've done, actually. I love writing songs, don't get me wrong, but I really enjoyed this.
When the commercial first comes on, you actually see Gwen underwater. That was actually the most challenging part of the whole shoot because try doing 3 or 4 somersaults underneath the pool and looking fabulous, and it's actually quite hard. It's harder than it looks. She used to actually be a synchronized swimmer in high school, so she got to put her skills to good use.
1, 2, 3! The whole sharing is just really fun. But I love doing the photo shoot with my dream photographer team, Marcus. People I've been wanting to work with for so long, and now I finally got to do it. The photographers are so talented, and so it's just been a really good experience.
It's a lot about creating the right look and the right spirit, and Matt and Marcus have really brought that out of her and really captured what she wanted to project.
I have to be honest, the photographs do reflect the feeling of the fragrance, but at the same time, they're beyond what I imagined it could be, because it turned out
Look at
so
the pictures. Look at what it's captured.
incredible,
Look
and
at how they
it's gonna
focus.
be
Look at
one
the
of
print.
those trips
Look at the
that I'll
time they had to
rest
do.
of my
Think how many
life.
cuts they had to make to get this thing done.
Thanks, you guys.
Everything you're reading. Very good. Okay, escape. Alright, so we're good on that one. What else do we have in here? I wanted to do, I don't know if this will work. Super Bowl. Let me see. No, okay. I just get rid of that. Okay, we're done on this, alright? So what do we have here? We're finished with this. I'm trying to always add a little bit, for lack of better words, I'm trying to get in here, add as you would in the classroom for those who are taking me online. And for those of you, if I missed it or you missed a class, this is what you would have had in class. I'm a little more active, a little more moving along. Remember, I'm talking to the audience. I'm looking at you through a camera. I've set it up here in my office at home that I work out of. So it gives me the flexibility when I do the recordings. But still, I have to learn. Just like I'm doing, coming and talking, I have to learn not to have my face completely in you. I have to learn how to be relaxed. I have to look at this, not look like around here. But everything you're learning here, as you're learning advertising, as you're learning the vocabulary, what the heck does that mean? You have to be like a sponge. You're going into advertising. You may not be the mechanical. You may not be the director. You may not be the producer. You may not be the web designer, the artistic. But you have to communicate with them. You have to know how to talk. You know what they mean. You know, and everything else. So to be a good advertising and advertising marketing, you have to understand your other individuals that will make the advertising, the integrated marketing communication campaign effective, costly, and memorable, to get your name out there saying, hey, I did that ad, I was part of that ad, and to remember the name, the jingle, and it keeps on playing over and people humming when you're walking. That's when you know you've got the good ad. Alright? My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is Advertising, Chapter 12, Print, Electronic, and Digital Media Production. More the technical side. The reading is very good, gives you a good understanding. You utilize some of the words, some of the concepts, what you think is appropriate. So, you know, everyone knows what a shoot is, and then, you know, take. But this, you know, different kind of terminology that you should be utilizing. Remember, in your business advertising plan that you're creating, try to use some of the vocabulary. You may not use much of this, just give some general on this one, but then you're moving on. But you should be aware it's part of the whole advertising integrated marketing communication process. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and I'll see you in our next lecture, or I'll see you in class, or I'll see you in our next lesson plan. Have a nice day. Bye.